So today we need to talk about something that has been just burning me up. And it starts with all of the financial gurus, I'll say in air quotes, that keep showing up online. You have people left, right, and center telling you you should be doing this with your investments, you should be doing this with your investments. Why aren't you doing this? Blah, 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 blah. So many things, okay? First of all, please don't trust a stranger on the internet with your money, myself included. Okay. Bottom line, guys, you need to know who to trust. I keep seeing more and more people on my social media feeds that are talking about their financial business. Everyone seems to have an opinion, and often the advice is conflicting. And it's not even framed as opinions, it's all framed as facts. So, how do you know who to trust? Hey, I'm Kristen. I'm an authorized infinite banking practitioner, and I help Canadian families and business owners reclaim control over their money, create financial peace, and live the abundant lives that they were meant to live by keeping more of their hard earned dollars working for them. So I've been there. I've always had firm distrust in large corporations and especially the life insurance space as a whole. I pictured, that the greasy finance bro, somebody who really looks the part. Their whole demeanor is to intimidate you and make you feel like you are inferior and they know everything there is to know, and you're supposed to trust their word like you would a god. As consumers, how do you know who to trust in any of these spaces? It is wild out there. There's people everywhere that are telling you all these different things you should be doing with your money, and they all conflict each other, and everyone's giving different advice, and they're saying it as though it's fact, but it's really their opinions. And how are you supposed to know what is true and what is false? Here's the thing, you can't. I'm so sorry to be the one to break it to you, but you can't just blindly trust someone on the internet. You need to understand how your finances work. You need to understand basic principles about money. You need to do your own research and really get a feel for someone before you blindly trust them with your money. I've been there. I've had clients come in, they watch me online and they say, "I trust you completely. Here's all my cash." And here's what I'm going to tell you. If you come to me and try to give me all of your money, try to give me all of your investments, try to give me, you want to open up the biggest life insurance policy that you can get under the sun, I'm going to stop you. I am not going to sell you something until I know that you are absolutely comfortable with what we're doing. I've had plenty of clients come in and ask me to do something, and I actually ask them to take a breath, and I won't do anything on that first call. The first call is really just a getting to know you call. It's a discovery call. We sit down, we get to know what your goals are, what you're looking to do, how your current financial life is structured. Then we can start looking at plans and what is really the best thing for you to do. So it's wonderful when people come in and they have an idea of what they want to do, and that's great. I love taking that as a starting point. Often that's what we build on, and I want to build things bottom line that are going to work for you and your family in the long term, and not just because you saw someone on the internet talking about this being the newest and greatest thing under the sun that you need to put your money in. Because I don't want you to get stuck in something that's not going to be for your family's best interest, not just today, but for tomorrow and next year and a decade, 2 decades down the road. I'm not going to rush you into those decisions, and no one else should be doing that either. So please, for the love of all that is holy, please do not blindly trust anyone online, myself included, with your money until you've done your research, you've done your due diligence. And so in today's video, I want to take some time and look at some of the ways that I like to feel out someone that I'm maybe looking to work with personally, or maybe I'm just looking to partner with them as a partner that I, work with. I really take my time getting to know someone. I want to make sure that I understand where they're coming from, and I want to understand, especially as professionals, where they are in their journey, how they got there, what they're doing in their own lives, And I really, really want to know that they're genuine and that they're people that are doing the best for their clients. So today I just kind of want to look at some of the things that I look at when I'm factoring in who to trust, who would make a good partner to work with myself because I'm in this space, and kind of some of the things that I really work through as I get to know someone. So, the first thing that I look at is experience. Now, I'm not hating on new people. We all start somewhere, myself included. But when someone is new, you want to know, what's their story? How did they get here? How are they learning? And from who are they learning? What kind of mentorship do they have? What kind of results does this person have? If they're new, what kind of results are their mentors seeing? What are they doing in their own personal lives that makes them so convicted in what they're doing is right? How's it working for them? What mistakes have they had? Basically, you want to know what their experience is, good and bad. You want to know what their focus is. Are they someone who practices what they preach? Do they invest in the same funds that they recommend? For example, if they're recommending some kind of investment strategy, are they using it themselves? Do they use the same strategies that they're teaching you to use? How's it working for them? What are their successes? What lessons have they learned and maybe they would have done differently? How's that person going to support you after the sale? That's a really important one. Are there limitations on their time? If you are someone who really likes a high touch point, is this something that that advisor or that financial professional can give you? Or are you offered just, maybe once a year touch-ins, or when you ask questions, now that you've signed on the dotted line, you can't get a hold of them. So you really want to know what that experience is going in. That's really, really important. You want to know how that person is getting paid. So that's another really important thing that I need to stress because I present myself as a infinite banking practitioner. I am first and foremost a life insurance broker. That means I get paid by selling life insurance. Bottom line, I make commissions from the insurance companies when I sell their products. If someone is being misleading about the way that they present themselves or the way that they make money, and they're not upfront about whether they make more money recommending certain things over others, that's a red flag to me. I'd want to know um, what what products, what incentives they're getting by offering one thing over another, especially if somebody's recommending a certain type of product over another product, if someone's offering a certain provider over another provider, you want to know why. So you also want to know, speaking of getting paid, you want to know who else is getting paid when you do have a transaction with this person. So if you're working with someone, for example, that's part of a brokerage or is part of an agency, there's an upline. There are people above them. They're working as part of a team, and that's how that's how all industries work, is when you're part of a team the team members above you are also participating in the profits from that exchange. Now, what I want to know is this person representing themselves as part of a group like that? How aligned am I with the group that this person is representing? I might really, really like this person, but if I don't like their mentor or I don't like the team that they are working with, I'm a lot less likely to work with them because if I don't align with the way that that company is run. So this is something that you really want to do your research on. You want to understand if there's an agency involved, if there's a brokerage, you want to understand what the big picture is of this kind of organization. And here's the thing, I don't want to be down on people that are new. We all started somewhere. But the fact is that 80% of new life insurance brokers, people that are new in this space, fail in their very first year. An additional 10% drop off in the second year. So if you have someone who's brand new, the likelihood of them being around long term is not very high. And so that's why it's important that you really vet the team that they're working with. Are they going to have support? Are they going to be in a position where they're still around? But what happens if they're not? What happens if that agent decides to switch careers again? Who is going to take care of your situation after that point? I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that you have to understand what's happening in these situations. Even if the agent or the advisor is not new, we often see people, for example, especially with banks, you have an investment advisor that you really, really like at your local bank. And then a year or so later, that person moves to another branch, and now you're just moved into someone else's book of business. I see that all the time. And it's really frustrating for us as consumers because when this happens, we're not given the same care that we were with the original person. You don't have that relationship that you had built with that original person. And now you're starting from square one with someone new. So you want to be aware of what kind of organization you're working with and how the relationships work inside of that organization. So going back to the person that you're working with, you want to know that they are knowledgeable beyond products that they sell. Even if this person is for example, a financial advisor and they only sell securities or mutual funds, are they aware of other products inside that space? Same with insurance. If I'm an insurance broker, but I am aware of other investment products and vehicles that are out there. And so while I can't sell them, I often recommend to clients that we use a mix of different products and maybe they have to go elsewhere, but at least I'm knowledgeable enough to see what they have going on and to see if there's something else that works better beyond what I can offer. That's where I'm going to send them. So, are the person's recommendations based only on what they can sell? Again, think back to your bank. They only sell products that that bank can offer, which of course makes sense. But you want someone who's going to be knowledgeable in other areas. Is that person honest about their limitations? That's a big one to me because if someone is not comfortable talking about another product or they're not licensed to sell another type of product, are they upfront about that? Or do they just change the subject completely, still pretend that they're the expert on everything under the sun and just know that's not a thing for you because I can't sell it? What's the attitude there about things that they can't sell? Even if there is no material benefit for that person, they should still be aware and make you aware of what their limitations are. When I'm sitting down with someone, I want to see how well they're listening to me. Are they offering other opinions? Are they offering customization? Or is it just a one size fits all presentation that they sit down, they give you the same presentation they give everyone else, they put you into the same products that everyone else does, maybe make a little tweak or two, but you're basically getting a one size fits all solution. Or are they sitting down and really getting to know what your needs are? Are they tailoring what they're offering to you based on maybe when you're going to need access to the funds? Maybe they're tailoring it to what kind of protection you need, what your goals are in the future. You just want to get a feel for how well this person is really listening and really paying attention to what's important to you. When we're talking about products. So you obviously want someone who's knowledgeable about the products that they sell. But what kind of diversity do they have in the products that they sell? Do they have access to different carriers? Do they have access to different, if they're a securities or investment broker, do they have access to different types of funds? For example, Fidelity products versus Investco products, for example. So, and can they tell you the difference? Can they tell you about what kind of fees are being offered to you? Can they clearly explain how these fees work? That is another big one because there was a recent survey done by people who work at these firms, at these banks, that most of them were not even able to correctly define what the fees are that they're charging on these funds. So it's important that you have someone who really understands what they're doing. Can they describe the fees and the costs? Are they justified? Are they able to tell you, yes, these are the fees. This is why the fees are so high. This is who's getting paid out of those fees. This is what the fees go towards. How do they compare to other products? Again, if you have the option of putting cash into a segregated fund versus a mutual fund, are they able to tell you what the difference is between the two? Are they able to describe the fees compared to using like a self brokerage account? Are they able to tell you the pros and cons? Are they able to give you different scenarios? This to me is very, very, very important. So, is this person able to talk to you about the best case scenario, which of course is what everyone presents. You want to give someone the best case scenario. But are they also talking about what could go wrong? What's the worst case scenario? What if you can't contribute the way that you are contributing today? What if you have issues where you lose your job later on? What happens with these accounts? How you are contributing, what's happening to them if they're not performing in the way that they're supposed to? What could go wrong? And then finally, just still on the topic of the products, you want to know that this person is very knowledgeable about how long the products have been around. What's their track record? Why are they recommending them? So, one specific product or provider over another one. Why are they recommending them? And then for me, I wanted to share some red flags that make my spidey senses kind of go crazy when I'm seeing some of these people, the new financial gurus, I'll call them, that are popping up on social media. Red flags to me are people that are, number one, not being honest about their credentials. Like I said, I'm a life insurance broker. I'm an authorized infinite banking practitioner. Both of those are accreditations that you can go on their websites. You can find. These aren't pulled out of a hat. They're not made up job titles. These are both licenses that I have, an accreditation, the authorized infinite banking practitioner. That's a credential that I have earned by going through a rigorous training protocol. So I'll never present myself as a financial advisor because I am not a financial advisor. To be able to call myself a financial advisor, I would have to go through a lot more training and other licensing to be able to do that. That is a certification that you must have in order to call yourself that. So that's one thing that is kind of a red flag for me when I see someone calling themselves by a title that doesn't really mean anything. If you're not sure about a title, look it up. Just a quick Google search. If you look up life insurance broker, you can go to your province or your state's database and you can actually find that person in the database and you can see whether or not they're licensed, whether or not they have any complaints against them, if they've ever been disciplined. You can see all that through their site. Another really big red flag to me is when someone is using high pressure sales tactics or they don't take no for an answer, especially on a first call with someone. So if someone comes in, they're not listening all that much to your needs. Maybe they are so that they can plug in just enough to say, oh, and so when you're saving for that vacation that you want to take for your 20th anniversary, this is the account you have to use. When someone's being really, really pushy, that's another red flag to me because you can't, as a consumer, really give informed consent until you've sat down and you've looked at the paperwork of any kind of financial decision, right? Until you understand what you're doing. Doing that on one call and getting you to sign right away, that's not it for me. I don't operate like that. I've had clients come in that really want to sign on that first call, and I've actually asked them to cool off. And I recommend like a cooling off period. We wait a week, then we come back, then we answer some questions, and then we go ahead and do the application if they're still ready. But I want to make sure that that person understands what they're doing before we get to that point. On the same line, another red flag is when someone's not asking questions or they answer your questions like a politician. You know the feeling when you're asking a question and someone responds with another question or they deflect and they don't answer it. That's a red flag. The the psychology behind it is to make you feel stupid for asking the question and to put them in control. I believe there's no such thing as a stupid question, and I am happy to take as much time in the world speaking with my clients to make sure that they understand when they're asking these questions. Also, when I'm asked questions, it gives me really good insight into where that person is in their understanding, and it helps me lead the conversation in such a way that I can help them understand even more. So there's no such thing as stupid questions. Anyone who makes you feel otherwise is a big red flag to me. And finally, the last red flag that I'm seeing again all over social media is people that are really focused instead of offering education and instead of teaching people, their focus is more on building a team. I'm not saying that everyone that is building a team is a scammer. That's not what I'm saying. But to me, when you're prioritizing putting together a team, especially if you're new to the industry, that's a huge red flag to me that tells me that you potentially don't have the education that you need to be sharing with your clients and that you're not putting a ton of effort into building your own client base and you're trying to rely on the work of other people. So that's the last red flag to me. And while we're talking about things like red flags, one of the biggest things that you need to watch out for when you are looking at someone online is, first of all, that you're at their official page and not some avatar that someone else is using. I've had mine stolen a couple times where people set up a fake page under my name. One of the biggest ways that you can point this out is when they're in your DMs, and I'm in my DMs all the time. I'm talking with people in private messages. It's not a chat bot. When I'm chatting with you, it's me personally. So if there's like weird language going on, that's a sign that maybe it's someone that's speaking a different language and not me or not the person that you're trying to talk to. But another huge red flag is when they start trying to get you onto another platform. So they say, hey, come join my WhatsApp group. Hey, come join my Telegram. I will never, ever, ever do that to my clients. I have an email list that I will give you the link you can opt in on, and you'll get my free trainings through your email. But I will never take you onto another platform and try to get you to have a private conversation on a different platform. I'm also never going to ask you to invest in anything with me directly. I'm never, ever, ever going to ask you to take money and send it to me directly. That's never going to happen. I'm never going to suggest that you invest in crypto or, here's a link to invest in specific metals. You need to send this much money. Those are the kind of scams that I'm seeing. So I really want you to be aware that when you are having these conversations with people, if you're not sure that someone is who they say they are, call them. Call them. Call them out on it. I don't give out my phone number unless you're a client of mine, then you have my phone number, you have access to text me, all those kind of things. But I'm in my DMs. You can contact me through DM. You have my email address. But just make sure that whoever you're talking to, you're using legitimate platforms to do it. So please do not expect anyone to conduct, no financial advisor is ever going to ask you to conduct business through Instagram DMs. No legitimate person is ever going to ask you to send e-transfers to them. No legitimate person is ever going to ask you to send funds through like a Venmo or anything like that or a PayPal link. Like that's not going to happen. Okay, so please, please, please watch out for those scams. So finally, while we're talking about who you can and can't trust, my biggest advice is to go with your gut. If you get a nudge and you feel like someone is not right, go with your gut. Find a better fit. Interview lots of people. It's always free to sit down with someone and have a discovery call and learn how this person got into this business, see how you feel about each other. And if it's not a great fit for either one of you, you should both feel good about walking away from it and saving yourself for more aligned business that comes your way. So let me know what you think in the comments. How do you know if someone is a good fit for you to partner with or to work with? And what are your red flags that tell you that no, this is not a deal I'm comfortable getting into and I need to look elsewhere? Let me know.